So Joshua chapter 6. How many of you guys have ever heard that song? Joshua fought the battle of Jericho. Junior church song. Dude, I don't really remember it. I just remember those words and the tune, but Justin, do you know that song?
Yeah.
Jericho, 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 Jericho. And this came and tumbled. There you go. Yeah. And what else? Is that it?
I'll have to listen to it again.
Yeah. So, man, I wish I would have. We need to play it on YouTube or something. So this was our lesson in junior church this morning. Joshua and the walls of Jericho. The main thing that I want to try and get across tonight is that God can do whatever he wants, however he wants. He's not bound by our imagination or our experience or our thoughts. And so we're going to find the children of Israel on their way to the promised land, and they come up against this city that is seemingly just impenetrable. You can't get through it, and it's got these gnarly walls, and they're looking at it, and God tells them what to do, and it's kind of crazy. And just to do what he says by faith, to me, is kind of crazy, and they did it, and it worked. And so, not that God's going to have us go march around some city, us here in 2023, and have the walls fall and everything like that, but God is going to ask us to do certain things that require faith, and certain things that other people would think are kind of nuts and don't really make logical sense, but it's what God told you to do, and so you do it, and it works. Let's look at verse number 1. It says, "Now Jericho was straitly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out and none came in. And the Lord said unto Joshua, See, I have given into thine hand Jericho, and the king thereof, and the mighty men of valor. And ye shall compass the city, all ye men of war, and go round about the city once. Thus shalt thou do 6 days." So he told them, he told Joshua and the Israelites to walk around the city of Jericho once a day for 6 days. In verse number 4, "And 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns." You guys know what ram's horns are? Like the Los Angeles Rams horns? So the priests, so there was supposed to be the Ark of the Covenant, and 7 priests with their horns, and all the soldiers, the men of war, marching around the city of Jericho. In verse number, right in the middle of verse 4, "And the 7th day ye shall compass the city 7 times, and the priests shall blow with trumpets." So on the 7th day, you're going to march around it 7 times, and then you guys are going to blow, the priests are going to blow their trumpets. "And it shall come to pass," verse 5, "that when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, and when ye hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and the people shall ascend up, every man straight before him." So God told the children of Israel to walk around the city once a day for 6 days, and then on the 7th day walk around it 7 times. I was just thinking about the people that were in the city. It says the city was shut up, but I'm just totally guessing that people were looking over at them like, these guys are nuts. Like, they really are nuts. They're just walking around the city, and then probably got into a pattern where it's kind of like guys going to a job site. You kind of see their pattern and their mode of operation. So they come out every day and walk around once, and then on the last day they're supposed to walk around 7 times. And I don't know if they thought anything of it or thought these guys are like extra crazy today. But verse number 6, it says, "And Joshua the son of Nun called the priests and said unto them, Take up the ark of the covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord. And he said unto the people, Pass on, and compass the city, and let him that is armed pass on before the ark of the Lord. And it came to pass, when Joshua had spoken unto the people, that the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns passed on before the Lord, and blew with the trumpets, and the ark of the covenant of the Lord followed them. And the armed men went before the priests that blew with the trumpets, and the rearward came after the ark, and priests going on and blowing with the trumpets. And Joshua had commanded the people, saying, Ye shall not shout, nor make any noise with your voice, neither shall any word proceed out of your mouth until the day I bid you shout. Then shall ye shout. So the ark of the Lord compassed the city, going about it once. And they came into the camp and lodged in the camp. So they did it. They went around once. And Joshua rose early in the morning, and the priests took up the ark of the Lord, and 7 priests bearing 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord went on continually, and blew with the trumpets, and the armed men went before them, but the rearward came after the ark of the Lord, the priests going on and blowing with the trumpets. And the second day they compassed the city once, and returned into the camp. So did they 6 days. And it came to pass on the 7th day that they rose early about the dawning of the day, and compassed the city after the same manner 7 times. Only on that day they compassed the city 7 times. And it came to pass at the 7th time, when the priests blew with the trumpets, Joshua said unto the people, Shout, for the Lord hath given you the city. And the city shall be accursed, even it, and all that are therein, to the Lord. Only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all that are with her in the house, because they hid the messengers that we sent. You guys remember that story? So Rahab the harlot, God spared her and her family because she obeyed God and really put her life on the line to hide these Israelite spies that were there, and lowered them down over the wall. What's that called?
Blade.
What's that?
Talking about blade.
No, I'm thinking of Rapunzel. She Rapunzeled them off the side of the hill, or off the side of the city wall. So she was spared. Okay, in verse number 18, and ye in any wise keep yourselves from the accursed thing, lest ye make yourselves accursed when ye take of the accursed thing, and make the camp of Israel accursed, and trouble it. So he told them, don't take anything from this city. Basically, we're going to destroy everything. But all the silver and gold and vessels of brass and iron are consecrated unto the Lord. They shall come into the treasury of the Lord. So the people shouted when the priest blew with the trumpets. And it came to pass, when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat, so that the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. And they utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both man and woman, young and old, and ox and sheep and ass, with the edge of the sword. So they just killed everything that moved. But Joshua had said unto the 2 men that had spied out the country, Go into the harlot's house, and bring out thence the woman, and all that she hath, as ye swear unto her. And the young men that were spies went in, and brought out Rahab, and her father, and her mother, and her brethren, and all that she had, and they brought out all her kindred and left them without the camp of Israel. Just think about that. Like, she was a prostitute, and her and her family were the only ones saved in this city. And to me, that just says that God is no respecter of persons. That sin is sin. She had, I'm just guessing based on the city there, out of everybody in the city, some people might have looked at her and thought she's the last person that should be saved from the city, but she's the only one that was saved, and because of her faith, which is just awesome, because that means every one of us, anybody, we all know this, no matter what you've done, Jesus Christ will still accept you and love you if you come to him, if you accept his gift of eternal life. And she did. She had faith in God. Let's see. In verse number 24, and they burnt the city with fire, and all that was therein, only the silver and gold, and the vessels of brass and of iron, they put into the treasury of the house of the Lord. And Joshua saved Rahab the harlot alive, and her father and his household, and all she had, and she dwelleth in Israel even unto this day, because she hid the messengers which Joshua sent to spy out Jericho. And Joshua adjured them at that time, saying, Cursed be the man before the Lord that riseth up and buildeth this city Jericho. He shall lay the foundation thereof in his firstborn, and in his youngest son shall he set up the gates of it. So the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame noised throughout all the country. So Joshua obeyed God, and it worked. They marched around the city, and the walls came down. They went in and killed everybody in the city, and there's no way they could have done that without God. And sometimes God will ask you to do things that aren't that big of a deal, and but sometimes he will ask you to do things that are a big deal and that don't really make sense on paper or to people around you, like going on a trip for 6 weeks, and you do it and God just blesses. And I just, this afternoon, something popped up on my phone that said China is sending 6 warships into the Persian Gulf right now. So it's like, I don't know, because nobody knows the times or the hours that God's coming back and all that, but it sure looks like it's happening, like World War III, the end times, just everything is happening, like boom, 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 like the whole world's getting set up for a giant war. And just, if that does happen, no doubt, I guarantee you we're going to start getting blasted too. Nobody's, I don't know, exempt from, if the whole world goes to war. So when I look at this and just think about where we're at today in the world, just remember that God's in control, and God controls everything. God allows kings to have certain thoughts and desires, and I don't know, you think about things that certain really wicked, gnarly people in the world do not do today. It's like, okay, but just remember God's in control, and just live by faith, do what he wants you to do. And not that we have any walls of Jericho to take down, literally, but just have faith in God is the main thing that I get from this story, and obey God, just like Rahab. He spared her, and it's God's plan for the children of Israel to be in Israel, and it's Satan's plan for them to not be there. And this was the beginning of them going and taking the land that God had for them. And right now, here we are, however many thousands of years later, and Satan is still trying to take their land from them, and having battles and just vicious attacks, and but they're God's people, and God does what He wants. And even though, you know, you look at people in Israel, and it's not like they're all worshiping God, but they are God's people, and He said what's going to happen, and it's going to happen. So, anyways, just try and have peace and faith that God is in control, and you're going to be fine. We're going to be fine in the time that we live in, which is kind of, actually that is nuts to say, because it seems like we're not. It seems like the United States is going down the tubes, and I think the United States is going down the tubes spiritually, and just in general, the whole country is rotting from the inside out, financially, spiritually, and it's like, what can you do? You can worship God, and you can trust Him, and point people to Christ. And the darker it gets, the brighter God's light is through us, and it's easier for people to see and to want to know about God. You guys remember during COVID, when COVID first happened, it was like, dude, the whole world is going nuts, and people started coming to churches before it became like illegal to go to church. People were like flooding churches because they were tripping out, thinking like is the mark of the beast in 2 weeks? And so they were wanting to know. I remember the Waltzes told Justin and Leanne, we need Jesus in our life, or we need some Jesus or something. Or no, that was Kelly Patton. But it's just, I think right now is a great time, and I hate to see it get worse, but I don't think it's going to get better over there. And it's a time for people to start thinking about eternity and the future, and just like the end times. Like, people know, like I some of our guys, like, it's like they're a little bit more sober minded in our little morning conversations, and they'll like kind of like, what do you think about all this? And like, doesn't it talk about this in the Bible? And yeah, literally, and it's really happening. And just have faith in God and point people to Christ. And I think even if we do full bore go to war, a lot of people will get saved through it, just because I think people are going to think about eternity, like kind of like you do when you're in a hospital or something, or you're about to get in a wreck. They're like, I've done that so many times on my dirt bike or snowboard or something, like, dear Lord, please save me right now. Anyways, that's all I have for tonight. Let us close in prayer. Justin, can you pray?